All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. So it's no secret that Splitgate 2 definitely needs a shot in the arm. And we also know that over the last couple of weeks or so, the devs have been really putting their heads down and they've been hard at work in order to squash a lot of the big bugs that this game has the problems with, as well as optimization issues, as well as some balancing things with certain weapons in terms of nerfs and buffs, and a few changes here and there that we're going to see in patch notes, hopefully. As well as optimization across the board in terms of all the different platforms, and as well as the specific game modes that have problems with those platforms. We all know that all of those things are definitely getting worked on, and we also know that the devs absolutely are aware that we want a progression system in the game, because the grind factor in pretty much every single game out there right now in terms of the year 2025 is a big factor, especially when it comes to a free-to-play shooter or a multiplayer shooter. Players and gamers these days definitely need an additional reason beyond just fun to keep coming back and grinding the game, right? They need to feel a sense of progression, and they always need to feel like they're just progressing towards something. You know, when you look at the mentality of that aspect, it's completely understandable. And obviously, gaming has evolved from what it was back 20 plus years ago to where there was no such this system, and then once the system got introduced a few years later, it's been the standard ever since, right? Players always want more and more and more, and that's just the standard of today, so it is what it is. So with that being said, what kind of a shot in the arm would be ideal for this game in order to catch its footing again? Because right now this game is pretty much in a certain way, it's taken so many hits that it's basically on its knees right now. So what in the world can be done, if anything, to help bring it back to its feet and to slowly but surely start gaining momentum, right? Because that's the biggest question right now. What in the world can possibly be done? You know, you can talk to some of the smartest people or whatnot, and they're like, I don't know if anything could be done. You know what I mean? So thanks to stream, this is not, again, this is something that was kind of said on stream that kind of kind of lit a light bulb in my head. So it's not like me saying that I'm a genius or anything like that. No, not at all, actually. However, when you look at another game that we're all familiar with, as well as its tragic story, Xdeiant, what did that game do after it sunset? Or should I say, after it announced that it would sunset? What it did was it released the rest of the year one content, and actually beyond that, in certain cases, for the game. So we got a bunch of maps, we got a bunch of weapons, etc., etc. The progression system was already intact. You know, we didn't get the net code buff. Unfortunately, we didn't get the update on that. Now, obviously, Mark Rubin went into a little bit more detail, but regardless, what ended up happening was, despite the fact that the game was sunsetting, we got a really big content drop. Now, one person on my stream has been in the gaming industry in terms of the stream that I had a few hours ago, as of the time of this recording. One person has been in the gaming industry for over 15 years, and they understand exactly how things work because they've been in it themselves, so they know. So it's not like just somebody from the outside, you know, kind of just speculating or wondering how things work. It's like, no, this is how things work. I understand this, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said that obviously when devs are creating things, they're usually like, the year one content is probably done, if not close to being done already. So what exactly am I proposing? Well, we all know how things come full circle in life, right? And how history tends to repeat itself. So, however, I think history should repeat itself a little bit differently in this case with Splitgate 2. We don't need to wait for a possible sunsetting phase in order to do something like this. I think that if you're going to do something with the game, it needs to be done in such a big fashion that it gets attention no matter who finds out about it, right? So what are we talking about when we're talking about Splitgate 2's year one content? Now, obviously, squashing the bugs and stuff like that for the rest of season one, which we have, I think, about 4.5 to 5 weeks left of, should be the number one priority in fixing up the game and getting momentum from a technological standpoint, as well as possibly, and hopefully, fingers crossed, adding in a progression system, right? Now, I would say as soon as season 2 starts, I think the devs and the CEOs should respectfully, and again, I mean this completely humbly, I think they should at least consider releasing the rest of, if not the majority of the rest of the year one content into this game. Because I think it's going to create waves. I think people are going to be like, okay, this is actually really huge, and it's going to get attention back into your game. Okay. So what it's going to do is this is going to at least buy you some time in order for things to start happening and going in the right direction with this game. However, before you do release all that content, though, you have to prep everything, right? You can't just release the content for the sake of releasing the content. And then, no. You gotta not only keep players, but this would be your one shot, that rare second chance. If you were to do this, if you're at least in theory, right? This could be a rare second chance to not only release the content from a content standpoint, but to prove to the community both in and out of Splitgate, right? Because obviously the people that love the game are going to stick with it no matter what until it dies or until whatever happens, right? So we're already here, right? And some of us keep coming back and forth, some of us leave and come back, and some of us stick to it until there's no longer anything to play, right? So we'll always be here, right? If not the majority of us, right? Okay. So when you bring in those new players, not only is the content going to be there, but what you also need to do is completely prep, kind of like almost like some sort of like content within content sort of thing. So in other words, what am I saying here? So when you're looking at a progression system, when you're looking at the weapons that are going to be released in the rest of the year one, you're talking about, let's say, in theory, I don't know, let's say an additional, I don't know, let's say 12 to 15 weapons, right? You're talking an additional, let's say 10 maps. What about all the stuff that the creators have been doing in your map editor? I think this would also be a good way for you to also make announcements. So what I'm saying is, when you release this big update, first of all, you're going to announce it, right? You have to announce it. You have to promote it, right? Which is going to cause waves in the community, right? So when you announce it, you also need to promote and announce what's coming next. Because with this big update that you already have in place, right? It's already been created, if not most of it already, because you already work in advance. You also need to start creating buzz about what's coming next. Because if you're going to release a big update like this with the rest of that season 1 content, if not the remaining of it, right? With all those weapons and all that other kind of stuff, this is a chance for you to announce what's coming next with a game that will keep it fresh. We're not just talking about a rinse and repeat of what you're doing here, right? But we're talking about a little bit of variety, right? Like even when you look at Xdeiant, for instance, right? Like one of the maps in Xdeiant was pulled from Rain Man along with its own particular game mode and a map that didn't look like the rest. And people absolutely embraced it. They thought it was really cool. They thought the map played really well, along with the new weapons and everything like that. The game mode itself was unique. This is where you can go beyond just supporting your foundation and going beyond in terms of what your announcements are. Now, I don't think I have to tell the devs in terms of what that is. They've already heard feedback from my videos, and I'm a small guy, right? I have no doubt that they've already heard feedback from my videos and from the things that my community has to say in terms of the comments section. I'm sure they've heard from others. I'm sure they've heard from the pros. I'm sure they've even heard from people that play games that are kind of like Splitgate 2 in terms of, you know, maybe some hero shooters here and there, maybe a little bit of the Battle Royale games and stuff like that, because Splitgate 2 has entered in the Battle Royale realm by implementing their own version of it. They've heard it all. They've even said it themselves. We hear you, keep the feedback coming, right? And we will, and we have. And they have a pretty good idea at this point in terms of what the community of both the more casual players as well as the ones that are dedicated players want. They have a pretty good idea. And on top of that, the CEOs themselves are gamers, you know, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the devs themselves are gamers because, again, they play their own game and they're pretty damn good at it too. So I think if you need to have attention on your game again, because ultimately it's what it's all about, right? It's attention, right? What you need to do is force that attention to happening by giving it this big dose that it needs, this big shot in the arm that the game needs, as well as announcing what you have planned for in the near future that keeps players excited. But in the meantime, you're also going to be keeping up to date in terms of the data and all that kind of stuff, making sure bugs continue to get squashed if need be, as well as optimization issues if need be, et cetera, right? Rotating some games in and out, things like that, right? But again, at the same time, you're developing that something great. You know, when you announce it, it's like, hey, we've heard your feedback. And ever since then, not only have we been doing this, this, and that, and not only are you getting this in season 2, but we're also developing this, right? So with that being said, I think it will help turn the tide with the game. It's not this shot in the arm is not necessarily a cure. However, it can get us to the point to where we can put ourselves in a better position and buy us a little bit more time in order to get the game to be at a point to where more people will come in. Because those older people that have already left the game, only a percentage of those people are going to come back. We don't know if it's going to be a greater percentage or a lesser percentage, but from a more realistic perspective, let's say less. Let's say you only get like 20% of those players back. Well, though there's always going to be room for new players. And through feedback that's been mentioned by the community of people that have either stuck around or the ones that used to stick around but have left, you can use that feedback, create that something new, announce it, and keep it going. Because this game needs momentum, and it needs momentum in the opposite direction of where it's going now. Because if you're gonna do something with this game, it's got to be done big. And I think this is a way to do it. Again, it's not a permanent fix, but I think it could shift the momentum. So with that being said, guys, I want to know in the comment section, what do you think of this idea? Do you think all of year one's content needs to be released, especially since it's already been created? Do you think it will help turn the tide, especially if they play their cards right and support it, along with the progression system and everything else that I've mentioned here? If all the cards are played right from here on out and everything's done right and implemented and executed properly, do you think this could work? Or do you guys think that they should do something completely different from what I mentioned here? So with that being said, let me know down in the comment section in terms of what you guys think and what ideas you might have when it comes to this. And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.